That's why. Like, we need to start going around spanking 60-year-olds.
Heavy hitting section 1. I'm not saying.
Yeah, section 1 is always.
It's always a thriller.
You need to clean up your life.
Oh, thank you, Eric. I totally forgot to press start.
That's okay. I saw you just put it down. I was just like,
we would have been here for months, and I would have been like, this is what it is. Time is not done yet.
The ducks ain't here. We gotta keep going.
Yeah. We out here again. It's Monday.
Welcome to the Life Podcast, episode 34.
Dude, this is 34 today.
34.
This is 34.
Is this week the last week of recording for season 1?
This is the last week of recording of season 1.
Wow.
We should probably tell people that before they just see that we don't upload for the next 3 weeks, and then they're like, "Oh, okay."
We're telling them now.
Yeah, this is your heads up. Season 1 is done Friday.
We'll probably briefly mention it in episodes 35 and 36.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the end of season 1.
Now, this isn't the end of the show.
No.
We have other episodes coming up, but we're going to take some time. We're going to talk about why this is a good first section if you want to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we're going to set up in the month of August. We're going to be setting up social media for the studio. We're going to be setting up a lot of different projects, getting a lot of different projects on their feet so that we can launch with a bunch of new stuff in September. And that's pretty much it. Does anyone else want to talk? That's
our first section.
That's it. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I don't know. That's pretty much it.
No, you pretty much covered it. We're just going to take the next, it's just really about a month or so off until September, just to kind of get all the things that we don't have time to do because of the podcast right now, and just like all the stuff that needs to be done, all the back end work, all the marketing, and just, you know what, and just kind of to give this thing a little bit of time and just to see what people think about it and see if we have to make any adjustments for season 2, or maybe we'll come out with some cool new graphics or something for season 2, or maybe who knows what'll happen on season 2, but we'll do something cool.
Also, given the time to regain our thoughts and to like compose topics and things of that nature, because as even though we do this 3 times a week, you might think like, oh, it must be super easy to come up with concepts that you haven't talked about. It's actually not as simple as you would imagine to come up. Like, you can think of a topic, like you can talk about watermelons, but do you really have a 15-minute segment on watermelons or a whole show on watermelons? Is that very effective? And then even if you do, does anyone care enough to listen to it? So giving ourselves some time.
I kind of want to know how many people go into the supermarket and slap the watermelons.
Everyone
just to test it and to see which one's better than the other.
Yeah.
Even though they don't know what they're doing. Is that just something that like tradition has like just like engraved in us, that
Absolutely.
Like all of us we just saw somebody do it in our lives and like this must be what you have to do?
Yeah, this must be the process to slap the watermelon, because we can't see it. So.
And that's it on watermelons.
That's it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, there you go. That shows you how hard it is to come up with topics.
I'm floored, guys. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Don't you slap the watermelons, Tyler?
Oh, no, yeah, that's why I'm stuck here. I'm like, you're sitting here talking about slapping watermelons. Like,
it's more of a question.
It's just a.
Yeah, guys. So, the weather outside is nice.
We're not doing this again.
Hey.
So yes, that's it.
But yeah. So, how was your weekend, guys?
That's how many times do we go over that? You know how my weekend was.
I didn't see you guys. I was in New Hampshire this weekend.
Oh yeah. How did that go?
It was wonderful.
What did you do?
I was out in New Hampshire, Hampton Beach. Didn't even know Hampton Beach was a place.
Oh, he just wanted to talk about his
exactly.
weekend.
Yeah, that's fine.
I talk about some things while you guys figure out the next subject. No, it was fun. I had a good time. I do recommend Hampton Beach. It's like I'm gonna give them free promotion right now. It's like Newport, Rhode Island, except it's like way less expensive. Like it hasn't been discovered yet, even though there's like a ton of people there. But like I sat down and had a like me and one other person had a full meal, like a full dinner for like $26 between the both of us.
It's not bad.
So it's like it's really nice. Beachfront view at a restaurant, like four floors in the sky, 4 floors in the sky, 4 stories high.
Yep.
Hey, but you're a grown, huh?
Yeah, you're a grown.
Yeah. So That's perfect. So today's episode, what are we talking about, guys?
Oh, okay. You're not gonna explain what you did there.
Oh no.
Okay.
No. Well, I mean, I can't. I was out there just for a show. It's for business.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't really anything other than that. I wasn't there on vacation. I wasn't taking vacation or anything. It was business.
Rip. GG.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Yeah.
So Tyler put in the show notes today how to be sometimes you can be a grown but not be an adult. So what that means is, Tyler, would you like to explain?
What that means is Tyler needs to go back and finish the 4th grade.
Yeah.
You can be a grown but not be an adult. Just because you have a certain amount of age and experience in life doesn't mean that you're actually a responsible adult. There are many people who skirt responsibilities as an adult. There's some people who still haven't matured in their private lives, in their character lives, and they still act as if they are an immature child, even though they are well past the regular coming of age.
Mm-hmm.
You guys catching this? You guys?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Feeling this? So that's
that's very true. Just because a lot of people feel like, oh, we do it since we were kids. You know what I mean? Like, oh, when you call a child, they're like, no, I'm an adult, and like because they just want to be an adult, and then you get to an age where you're like required to be an adult now by law.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, and just because by law you're 18, you're an adult. There's still so much stuff that you need to do to actually be like Tyler said, a grown adult. But there is a lot of experience that comes along with that. It's not just, I'm going to wake up one day and I'm an adult now. Just because you can go to the store and buy your own alcohol doesn't mean that you're an adult completely, that you meet every responsibility, because there's that level of responsibility that I feel like everybody that once they become an adult like really struggles with, that transition into paying your own bills on time, having your utilities, nothing gets cut off because you're being lazy. All sorts of like little or choosing to spend your time and resources on adolescent things when you have responsible bills to pay for at the end of the month, and then falling short.
Yeah, that's really big. This thing kind of got birthed. I mean, I'm really glad that you talked from that place and that you shared that. This really got birthed from there are people who still 40, 50, 60. You could be almost on your deathbed and still be just like an immature baby.
Mm-hmm.
You can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we can't take ownership of the things we do, the actions we say, we're saying that you're basically a child, and that you can't really take account for yourself, even though you try to hold yourself like an adult.
Absolutely, and there are different aspects to this, because you can be a really successful business person and still throw temper tantrums.
Absolutely, that's it.
It's not like, oh, okay, you're like this man child who's like 40 years old and doesn't do anything. It's not always presented in that way. Sometimes it is, a lot of times it is, but sometimes you can look like a completely functioning normal human being, and you have this massive character flaw where you just take everything to an extreme, where it's all like you don't pay any of your bills, or you throw temper tantrums, or you like emotionally react to every little detail.
Right, you can't accept responsibility, things like that.
Emotional reaction, it really just it shows a side of immaturity. We talk about that just a couple episodes ago, the important how emotional reaction can hurt you if you let it take over, where you get mad at the little things, or and that really shows a sign of immaturity in an adult. If you're there are 50-year-olds that do this, where they hear something and they just freak out, and their first reaction is, I'm going to start yelling, or I'm going to start reacting in a way that was really unnecessary. But that's the only way they know how to do it. That's how they know how to handle it.
I turned Benji on to a show. He still has to watch it yet, but
so it's really turned onto it.
Thank you. It's available right now on Netflix, but it was shot in Jerusalem, and it had 2 seasons starting in 2013. I can mention names and stuff on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's a show called Shtizzle, and I guess it's a guy's last name, but it details the comings and goings of this ultra orthodox Jewish young man, and it's all in Hebrew, so it's all subtitles, but you can see immaturity like that. I don't know where this is coming from, but there's one character in there, and this guy tries to make everybody's decisions, and if like you don't do exactly what he wants, he'll freak out and like tear his clothes and be like like, I disown you. It's like, that's not mature at all. Like, you are a giant child if somebody doesn't act exactly the way that you want them to. Yeah. Like, because of like appearance or because that's what you think or want them to do. It's not even what's right and what's wrong, whether you're doing it or not. Like, it's still like, I need to manipulate somebody, so I'm gonna just like throw a fit and rip my clothes and say like, I never birthed you.
Yeah.
Or even in like a simpler concept, the silent treatment that people give to other people. So like, you know what, I don't like what you just did, so I'm just not gonna talk to you anymore. Yeah. So like, you come to and apologize to me, and I'm just gonna go sit in my corner. I'm gonna like soak over here.
Just yeah, I'm pretending like I don't care, but I'm gonna have this weird face on this the rest of the day, just so you can make sure you see me.
We were talking about it the other day. Talking about like husbands and wives and stuff, and we're talking about intimidation, manipulation, and domination. Intimidation, usually that's on like the man's side, the husband's side, and I mean that comes from, I guess, being immature. It's like, I'm going to intimidate you to do whatever I need you to do. Yep. Where you have more of like the woman's side or the manipulative side. It's like the passive aggressive. I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm not going to have sex with you, so until like whatever, until I get my way. So
yeah.
You know? And the end result is really to try to dominate and to
get people to do what you wanted them to do.
Right.
That really is like the biggest part about being an adult is learning how to get ahead without hurting other people. You have to do what's best for you. Obviously, everyone's going to pull to their own side, and I agree, but it's learning the balance of life so that like it's not all about you. You know what I mean? You can't always get what you want. And it's just like that transition between like when you were a kid, you always want what you want, and there were some kids that, like, you know, their parents fed them everything, whatever they wanted, they got it for them because they didn't want to deal with them, or whatever the case may be, or that manipulation worked up until that point. Yeah, and then that manipulation continued into their adulthood, and now they feel like, oh, I can keep doing what I did to my parents in real life and get what I want.
I'll just do it to my spouse, or I'll do it to my boss, or I'll do it to my coworkers.
Exactly. Oh, I used to do this all the time when I was a kid. It's not even like they don't think that way. It's not like it's just a habit.
Well, yeah, but on the building blocks, it's like, it's going all the way back to like when you got your way when you were 5.
Yeah, because back in the day when you were a small child, you threw a temper tantrum and your mom gave you the toy, and why this is so like, it's just such a deep-seated psychological thing that it's like, if that was the way that you learn to communicate like that, if you like, we know that if you give a child different stimuli, they react to the stimuli in the way that everything else, like the reason why people speak English versus Spanish or Portuguese or French or whatever is because they grew up learning English or Portuguese or Spanish or French. You know, it's the same thing. If you communicate via temper tantrum, if the child learns that, and I'm speaking purely scientific, not like applicable, like application of it. But like, if I don't have any kids, basically. Yeah. If you have a kid and you're like, if the temper tantrum happens and you give in to the kid, that's reinforcing a psychological thing that says, okay, for me to get what I want, I have to do these things. Because the kid doesn't want to throw a temper tantrum. The kid wants the toy. Yeah. And it's going to do whatever it takes to get the toy, because that's the only thing in its life that it cares about. Yeah. So that manifests when you're like 40 years old and something happens in your business and you throw a temper tantrum. That's the same logical perspective. Absolutely. It's, I want this thing, this is how I get it.
Yeah, no, that's really good, and that I feel like there's a lot of people that still struggle with that. It's breaking those old habits, the stuff that they've just grown up into, and like I said, it just went into their adulthood. That's really what it is. And then some people that made it all the way to their 50s who never really realized that they still do that because no one really corrected them. Yep. And now it's just like they're 50, 60 years old and still throwing temper tantrum like they're 5.
Or even think about it like when you're a kid too, and something happens and like, that wasn't me. Like, I didn't do that. When it's like, who else did that? Yeah. Like, if it's me and you in a room and you did, and I didn't do that, then like, who did it? Not me. Yeah. It's like, well, okay, so you're a grown adult, but you can't take responsibility or ownership for your actions when you clearly did it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Not being able to take responsibility for yourself. That is another huge sign that might have carried over from your childhood.
And these are things that are reinforced today too. It's not just reinforced when you were a child. It's also because I do it all the time, where it's like, if I see somebody's throwing a temper tantrum, I just don't deal with it. Like, I can't deal with it.
You spank people in public.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spank other people's kids.
Just find this 50-year-old man who's throwing a temper
Just, like,
tantrum in his business.
slap him,
Just
yeah.
take him over the
Just-
table.
yeah, just-
Yeah, there you go.
No, but like you kind of give into it in day-to-day life because you're like, I really don't want to deal with you as a person. It's like, here, just leave. Like,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
like I want you out of the store. Like, leave. Like, I don't care. So you give into it, and that just reinforces it more. And I mean, normal culture has decided that, whatever. But nonetheless, it's like we give into it even into adulthood, and I don't think that that's the best thing either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we got 10 seconds left, but more or less you can see it like all the time. You can have less than 1% of the population. Somebody gets freaked out or outraged or mad about it, and they have this big emotional response, and it's like, okay, well then ruin it for the rest of the population.
Yeah.
The days of the ducks. We'll be right back.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast. What up against a Carrera? I want to see it on the track.
See, and that's why I don't knock, like we were just talking about the Nissan GTR. I wasn't knocking the Nissan GTR because people get them and you can scoop them like the old gens, real cheap now. I saw something on Auto Trader like 42 grand or something. Somebody picks it up, even if you get a wrecked one, soup it up, throw it up on a drag strip. You'll be hitting 9s, 8s, 7s.
Yeah.
I see them even run 6s and a quarter.
But they're only good in a straight line.
Yeah, but
I mean, if that's what you want, yeah.
dude, but
not-
for like 40 grand to tune it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's like, to me, there's a big difference between I want to go fast in a straight line and I want to go fast around a track. Like I want something that can dance.
Obviously, if I had something, I'd prefer like track performance and road racing myself. Like I'm not a quarter mile guy. My boss is. He's got a Mustang LS, not LS, LX. On nitrous. I think it runs low 10s. But anyways, really talking about that, it's like that's not my cup of tea. But like you said, respect where respect's due. Like if you can scoop up a Nissan GTR, that's a V6 of all things.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive, and you can get it to run stock like low 10s for 40 grand. When like my boss has like 20 grand just in his motor, it's like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah, that's yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It's whatever you're looking for as a consumer, and being able to understand that and respect that is a big thing. To go back to our original topic about growing up and not being an adult, we just spend money on cars, but the cars get bigger. That's all. What is it? Men never stop buying toys; they just get more expensive, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's like,
Pretty much.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
It's like, oh yeah, my $3 Hot Wheels car turned into a $300,000 Porsche.
Yeah,
So,
it
yeah.
grew. I mean, teach his own.
To each his own. Fair enough. We're back. We out here. We hope that you enjoyed the ad.
Yeah, that was good.
shout out Nissan, Porsche. We'll take some of that money.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to remember that we're talking about being an adult, but that doesn't mean don't stop being a kid, kind of thing. And I know it completely contradicts itself, but like,
Not
don't
really.
stop having fun. Don't stop doing what makes you happy, like when you were a kid.
There's
Those
a
things.
perfect statement for that. It's like you can don't be childish, be childlike.
Yeah, that's good.
Where you
really
can still
good.
maintain the wonder of the world, not be calloused by the crap that's made you insensitive to the things around you, or like the impetus is like, wow, I can go and still have like fun in the rain, or I can go run through a sprinkler. Like, oh yeah, that still entertains my mind, instead of being like, no, I need to have this $300,000 car to even feel some slight place of enjoyment.
Exactly.
Where it's like, well, that's being childlike, where you still maintain wonder in the small things, but then you have this childish mentality, and that's the temper tantrum, all the crap that comes with that.
Yeah, there's no better reason to run through a sprinkler when all your responsibilities are met. You know?
Yeah, right.
So
if I can afford to have my house, I'm gonna go get a slip and slide, bro.
that's it. You know.
Cooked. Actually, I messaged one of my friends on Facebook the other day. It was like a friend of a friend, but I guess we're friends on Facebook. I don't know this person, but they were getting rid of a hot tub for free.
Nice.
And I was like, hey, hey, what's good?
Hey.
So I'm still waiting for something back.
Well,
but
Tyler's been wanting a hot tub for a while now.
He's at the
yeah, and he was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just I think they were like moving or something. They just had to get rid of it.
Nice.
It's like
Yeah.
well, what am I gonna say? No, like if you have a pickup truck, like when in Rome.
Yeah.
absolutely. See if they got anything else while you're there too.
But Eric's right about this concept of not forgetting that you can. There's something magical about being a kid. I don't know any other good
that's
terms,
good.
but nonetheless, where it's like, I think that today we all look at society like if the three of us were to go into the middle of Tyler's road, because his is the least populous, and we were to like bring out a hose and just dance around in the road, people would think we were on some heavy drugs.
Make sure you play some dubstep or something.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because I would also assume that anybody dancing, three grown men dancing in the middle of a street with a hose would also be on some heavy hallucinogenics. But like, why do we automatically assume that? Like, we've become so jaded that it's like we can't have fun anymore.
You can't have fun in public. That's really what it is. Like, people don't like to see you have fun.
Do drugs in the privacy of your own house.
Yeah.
Like everyone else.
Like everyone else. Take that stuff inside.
Yeah.
We're not judging. Just don't do it out here. But it's like, it's that concept of like, nobody wants to see you have fun. Because they're comparing their lives, and they look at you and like, I'm not having fun. How come you get to have fun out in the middle of the street with a hose? Talk about Tyler's house across the street. One of his neighbors. One of the like first days when he moved in, I'm pulling up and I see this truck with tarp in their.
Oh yeah.
The back of the pickup truck, and they have it filled up with water. They use it as a pool, and they're driving it around.
Nice.
And
welcome to New Bedford, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, you turn your pickup truck into a mobile swimming pool, and you have all your kids and yourself in it, and I don't even know who's driving.
Right. Ghost ride in the whip.
It's actually the dog.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
But yeah, it was but just that, like, you look at it, I laughed, I had a great time, but like other people, I like, they're watching them, they're like in disgust that they're even doing this, and it's like, let them have fun. Like, I'm laughing because that's funny. You don't see that every day.
Absolutely. I mean, apart from all the safety concerns, like, what is the problem?
Safety third.
Exactly. What is the problem with that? It's like, okay, if you're not harming anybody else, nobody's gonna get injured other than you and the people who are in the truck if something happens. It's like, is that really the biggest thing that you're like? It's like, let the people do what they want to do. Like, why do you care? Like, is that like, I have such a big problem with that, where it's all like the neighbors thing, where they're like watching your house or whatever, and it's like, oh, like, did you do this thing? It's like, dude, I don't even know your first name. Like, is that really like how you want to interact? Like,
yeah, right.
Your life is so boring that you just get mad at other people for doing what they want to do with their life. I don't see the point.
But that's how a lot of people live. Like, they don't understand. Like, there's like a line that they're so far into adulthood that like anybody that like even looks like, oh, they're not responsible. Like, oh, they like you've gotten everything taken care of.
I think that's a facade, and I think that's an overcompensation. To actually like to be that like, oh, like you didn't have that perfect lawn. Like, oh, the neighborhood agreement says that like you're not supposed to have a clothesline, and you have this tiny clothesline in your backyard. Like, you're going to jail, buddy. Like, I think that's an overcompensation of, I'm going to point out some of your flaws, or I'm going to make sure that you follow all the rules and regulations to a spotless T, whether it's actually bothering you or not. I mean, this is some kind of example, so that you don't come and look at my backyard to see that I have a clothesline too. Same as that guy from that show that I was talking about. He's like, oh, son, you can't marry a widow because she's damaged goods. Yeah, he's going with like 2 or 3 side pieces who are all widows too. It's like, don't look at me. Hey, do as I say, not as I do. Okay.
Yeah, hypocrisy at its best.
It's also it's that is definitely one of the big ones, and it's also the idea of you have nothing better else to do. Like, you have nothing else to do. Like, people are bored. Like, people, there are a lot of people who just like don't have anything to do.
I'd hate to like rash on like Portuguese people because I am one, but like, but you know, Vavo's on the window, you know, and she's just watching the neighborhood all day. She's number one guard dog right there. She's watching everything. She's a security camera. She knows everything that's going on in your house that you live 3 houses up. Because she's nothing else to do. She's just watching out the window, and it's like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? Don't go around and judging people and telling all your friends that come by, say, oh, you know what the neighbors are doing all week?
Yeah.
They're in the street with a hose.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking the drogas.
Social experiment, like legitimately try to do that as a grown adult. See what happens.
All
you
right.
will get the cops called on you. No joke.
We're
Like,
gonna we'll call the cops first. Be like, hey,
yeah.
hey, we're gonna be doing this. So if they call the cops, you already know. You don't have to come down, or if you do, bring your bathing suit.
Can you imagine calling the cops to let them know, like, I'm about to go outside and have fun. Someone's gonna call the cops against me.
That's gonna sound so
because they're gonna think I'm high. I am not high. I will pee in a cup when you get here.
I only have the cup filled up for you. But no, seriously. So have fun. Like it don't.
Yeah, just because you're an adult, just because your age is higher than 20, doesn't mean that you have to. Like, okay, step 1, make sure that your house is set up. The house being your responsibility.
Well, what's that? What was that proverb that we read all the time? It's like, before you establish your work on. How's that? How does that go? I'm gonna look that up as you guys talk. Okay.
Like set up. Make sure your ducks are in a row. Like if that means you have a phone bill, pay your phone bill, then buy everything else you want to do. If that means you have a mortgage and you have a car payment and you have all these different things, pay those things, then do whatever you want to do. Like your income, well, the things that you have to take care of scales with time. So your responsibility scales with time. But once you've taken care of your responsibilities, do whatever you want to do. Like
Absolutely.
Nobody's like just because you're a banker on Wall Street and you have this super stressful job doesn't mean that once you're done your time and once you've taken care of all the things you need to take care of, you can't go use a slip and slide or whatever, or like go jump in the hot tub.
What was that? Like one of the first episodes. Like don't take yourself that seriously. Like,
that was a great episode.
It's okay. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you can't use the slip and slide. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Which is legit. Or a lot of people see it too. It's like there are a lot of people be like, oh, you're a Christian, and it'd be like, oh, well, like that means you can't have fun. Yeah, watch out for that. But anyways, there's a proverb, and it says this. It says, prepare your work outside and get yourself ready in the field, and then afterward, build your house and establish a home. It's like, yo, be stable. It's like, oh, I want to have all these things, but yeah, I don't have a job.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make ends meet. It's like, no, worry about what your work is and establish yourself in the path that you're going, and then, you know, add all those little things onto you.
And that's where the big transition is, where like when you're growing up and it's that responsibilities come second, and I'm going to have fun first. I'm going to spend my money to have fun first, and then whatever's left is going to go towards the bills. And that's the you know, I'm grown but not an adult mentality.
Yeah.
And then you switch from that to, all right, I'm going to pay my bills first, and then whatever's left is going to go to fun things. And I'm not saying, like, this is the whole point, is like you have to the fun things is still a priority, but you have to balance it with the responsibility. Like if you're out there having all this fun, but your responsibilities aren't being met, you're not being a great adult. You're not.
Instead of 2 bottles of Henny, you have to cut it back to 1.
Epa, tough life, you know?
well, that's what we call a midlife crisis in America, which is all like you get to like usually guys have this happen to them and they get to 50 and they realize like they didn't
need a
do
Mazda
anything
Miata.
fun. Yeah, they didn't do anything fun, and they're running out of time, and they're sitting in the office and they have like this mental breakdown, and they go and they buy a Mazda or they buy a Ferrari or something like that, and it's all like, why did you buy a sports car? And it's all like, because I want to go fast. And it's like it's like, okay.
I want to go as fast as my life is going.
It's like, okay, Jeffrey, calm down. It's like the reports need to be done by Monday. It's like,
If you're lucky, you'll be able to buy your kid a slip and slide.
exactly. But it's like, it's important not to get caught up in that, because a lot of people become jaded with the idea of, oh, I got stuck in the field that I didn't want to do. And people, there are a lot of people who aren't happy with their lives. And when you see other people having fun, it's like Eric said, you look at your life and you say, why didn't I position myself in the ability to have fun? That's why a lot of people have problems with like these big YouTubers, because the essence of being a big YouTuber is I get paid to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is fly out to Malibu and like hit the waves, you know, and it's like, okay, like that's what you want to do and you get paid for that, and people get really offended with that because they're like, why can't I do that?
Listen, holding nothing back. We're on track, boys. That's where we're headed. And that's where this podcast has been. It's been chronicling our journey, but we're giving it out as we're living it, saying this is what we're doing, and we're succeeding as we do it, and you can do it too.
Absolutely. Like none of this is magic, guys. None of this is like, how did these YouTubers get there? And like they must be this lucky person that got no. Like they decided that that's what they wanted to do, and once they made that decision, they did everything possible and necessary that they had to do to get to a point where they could sustain their lives off of a YouTube channel. And that's really what it comes down to. They found a niche, they found a group of people that like what they do, that is willing to pay them for it, and then enough people to watch it, the advertisements paid for it. It's not magic. This is purely a strategy, but you have to decide, and you can't be the person that's mad at the person having fun and start being the person to start having fun.
Right, like we talked about Suicide Woods boy, whatever his name is.
Jake Paul.
Paul Ryan.
Jake Paul.
He literally said
Paul Walker.
Rip Paul Walker.
Tree goes here.
Triggered.
Yeah. No, but you know what? That was, I mean, that walked into the camp of like no publicity was bad publicity. He was like, I'm this is a calculated stunt. It's like, this is the most outrageous thing I can do for views.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm doing this strictly for views. As much as he lost so many subscribers, he became that much more famous.
Yeah.
Because he made that decision. It was like, that was strategic to do that.
And companies understand that, because they're like, okay, we'll ride the wave of like, okay, there's a bunch of people who hate this dude, and then like 3 or 4 months later, because the internet forgets, like
he's back up to where he was.
Yeah, the internet never forgets and always forgets. Like, it's a weird system, but he's back up to where he was. He's higher than where he was subscriber count. He has this massive, beautiful house, and guess who's paying for it? All the companies who sponsored him, and all of the people who buy his merch. You know, it's not a hard concept to understand, but really the end of this segment and into the next one is the concept of don't be mad at people for having fun. If you want to have fun, go have fun. YouTube may not subsidize your lifestyle, but do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, don't let other people stop you from having fun in your life.
Absolutely.
Marry the widow. We'll be back.
Stay tuned.
You gotta set the time. It's time. Time.
It's wrong.
9.
Every like 3 episodes or so, we get Tyler singing on one of these.
Because Tyler's like,
Nah, anybody?
Gross
I mean,
to my
I
albums.
didn't give you any words for that, but that was anybody get that melody? No. Still loving you, Scorpions.
Well, I know the song, but
Anyways,
before my time.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry you don't listen to it though. I mean, it's before my time too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like you're talking like I'm like way older than everybody.
No,
like
I mean,
hello.
We're the same age, but
Pretty,
like,
I am older. Okay.
oh yeah.
Please.
Please. I just had a birthday. Okay?
Please. I am not grown, okay? I am not grown, okay?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're talking about that initial quote that started the show, talking about you can be a grown.
Yeah.
I think I meant to say a grown up, or like you can be grown. I don't think the A was supposed to be there.
I don't think you intended to say it the way that you said it. Yes, I think that it was supposed to be different.
Anyways, so I can accept responsibility for my mistakes, okay?
Yeah.
So you can be a grown, you can be grown, but still not be an adult. And we talked about this concept, and now we're just really gonna walk into the practical application of what that looks like. Doesn't matter how old you are. Immaturity can still knock its ugly head at your door, and until we can mature and actually grown up, the number one thing that makes a grown person an adult is responsibility and ownership. We talk about like, okay, well, your life is yours. Own it. Own your mistakes. Own your flaws. Own your house, own your cars, own everything around you. If you're constantly placing blame on others, or my life's wrong because it's this person's fault or that person's fault, okay, that's a big sign of immaturity, and you are not actually an adult because you're not owning up to whatever you have.
Here's an adult test to see if you're actually an adult. you're in a situation, you're in a room, right? And there's like a kid crying, and your first step is either you go to the kid to help them,
Smack 'em.
or you look around to see who's more adult than you to handle the situation.
Fair enough.
And that, like, and for me, it's like I look around first. But I guess what I was trying to go with that is there's always, like, none of us are perfect. We're always improving our adult skills. I think that it is a growing skill, and some of us are better at it than others. But there is a learning curve to it, and there's a lot of things that each one of us learn to adult better.
Well, it really starts from that whole thing of responsibility and ownership with maturity. It's like, okay, well, I can, like, this is my stuff. I can manage it.
Yeah.
I can legitimately manage it. My priorities are in order. We were talking about that proverb, like, prepare your work in the field and then go back and build your house and have all the extra accoutrement and all the fun stuff. But that's really the essence too. It's like, okay, well, I have my life established. I've received that extreme ownership of what this is. I've taken responsibility, and now I make my bed so I can lie in it.
Absolutely. And it's also important to realize that you can be an adult in a lot of different ways. You know, the example that I think about is, you know, we've started different companies, like personal projects and things of that nature, that have been profitable, but I don't know how to take care of a child. You know, like, I'm an adult in the sense of I know how to make money, and I know how to get things to start and get up on their own feet. And that's what I'm good at. And I know how to do those things. I don't know how to take care of another human. I don't know how to deal with a small child. That's not my area of expertise. Am I an adult because I can start a business? Yes. Am I an adult because I can't take care of a child? No, I'm not an adult in that sense. So it's like, you can be an adult who is an amazing person who takes care of children, and you could not know the first thing about starting a company. It's important to realize that there are different aspects to different things.
Yep.
And just because you're not good at taking care of children doesn't mean you're not an adult. And just because you're not good at accounting doesn't mean that you're not an adult. I pay somebody to do my taxes. That doesn't make me any less of an adult.
No, exactly. Actually, if
That
anything,
probably makes
it's
you more of an adult.
Yeah. Legit, it does. It's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna flim-flam this. Like, I understand that I'm not good at this, or there's a reason why people get paid to do what they do. It's like, this isn't worth it for me. I'm gonna pay. I'm gonna have it done. I'm gonna make sure that it's owned. It's gonna cost me money instead of time, but send it.
It's so worth it.
Absolutely.
Just have somebody else do
absolutely.
it.
But
What else?
Well, you know, and that's, we talk about this stuff because it's something that's, like, very easily neglectable in your life. It's something that you can go through, and like, why don't any of my relationships ever work? Or why don't I have friends that are real friends? And a lot of you come back to, like, the really basic stuff, and this could be something in your life that's, like, could be a struggle in your life. You never really ironed out all the kinks, so to speak.
And it's those little bites. Like, I mean, that was a perfect feeding. Like, this whole thing came about because, like, I was interacting with somebody who's, like, 60 years old, and it was like you messed this thing up. No, I didn't. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It's like, I've been doing this for so long. Like, you messed it up, guy. I knew in my sleep that you messed this up. Like, I know exactly what you did. I know everything about this. Like, you cannot deny that this isn't legit. All the proof's there. And it's like, no, I did it. No, I did it. No, I didn't. It's like, and this is why your life looks the way that it does. You are a mature individual. You are 60 years old.
Yeah.
You are not an adult.
Yeah.
And that's why your life looks the way it does.
Yeah, and that's stuff like that, and it's like, you know, and for the other side of it, the people that on the other side, they see you act this way, they don't want to interact with you. They don't want to have that conversation with you.
It's ugly.
They don't want to argue with you because you're right all the time. Like, it's not just for me. It's like, I'm not gonna deal with you.
In Portuguese, we have this saying that's like, I don't have children of that age, or like, my children aren't that old. Like, you know, like, like, where it's all like, which basically translates to, I'm not dealing with you. Like, like, I'm just gonna walk away. It's like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, you're not my kid. Like, I don't have to put up with this. And it's so true where it's like, in America, we deal with it very differently than in Portugal. But it's like, we deal with people more, like, it's more acceptable to throw a temper tantrum, or it's more acceptable to just be like a...
Well, because you can't spank anybody in America anymore. That's why. Like, we need to start going around spanking 60-year-olds.
Something that Eric said, which was that we kind of, like, glossed over, but which is very true, is, like, the concept of, like, I don't have any friends. I'm, like, 40 years old, I don't have any friends. It's like... maybe like your personality is not somebody who we want to interact with.
We grab onto that proverb all the time, but it's like he who wants friends has to be friendly himself.
Yeah.
And having immature
God,
like lifestyle, I guess would be
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Dealing with friends, and it's like I didn't invite you to this thing because your immaturity and your character, your character flaws are so extreme that it just like it's that less than 1% that would be like, well, because I can't have this, then nobody can have it. It's like that.
Yeah.
We talk about that example of the Pokemon cards when I was in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
You got a bad trade, you got a bad deal, you traded a Charizard for a Pikachu, and then you learned about what you did, so then you ruined it for everybody.
Yep.
I don't know if this person listens to this podcast, but we have a friend who the three of us had planned to go to dinner and then go do something. And the third person said that they couldn't go to dinner. So Tyler and I just went to dinner anyway.
Are you guys side-talking me?
No. And then the third person calls us and was like, you guys didn't ask me if you could go to dinner. And we were like, what? You wanted us to ask you permission to go to dinner? And he's like, and this person was like, yeah, well, because we were all supposed to go together and I couldn't go. And do you not remember this event?
I vaguely do, but I need specifics once we get off.
Okay,
off camera. Was that when we went for like sushi or something, right? Or we went to like Ming?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We'll talk about this more.
Yeah. but the premise was that this person was mad at us that we went to dinner because we had planned to go to dinner.
Yeah, and they said they couldn't go.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more details, join us on our Patreon page.
But nonetheless, the concept was like, is that really the level that we're operating at right now? Is that what the game that we're playing?
Yeah. So now dinner plans like perpetually for like ever are like off the table.
Yeah. It's like that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's like, is that like we have adults in our lives, adults, quote unquote adults, who are like, you didn't invite me to that thing, or you didn't tell me about that thing. It's like, maybe I just don't want to interact with you. Like, do I have to invite you to every single life event that I have? It's like,
it's a maturity thing.
Yeah.
That really falls down to it's a maturity thing. It's like I get that bent out of shape. Like there's one thing to get upset or bent out of shape, but it's another thing like on something so petty, and that's it's really dangerous.
Yeah, and if you're one piece of advice, if you're somebody that gets bent out of shape about like all the little things. My advice to you is get some more. You're not doing enough things for your you're not doing enough things that you enjoy or whatever. You're not doing enough things. Period. You have so much time in your hands that you have time to afford to get upset about little things.
Yeah,
and that's like one way to fix that is do more things.
But I wanna put an asterisk there too, because there's a place to feel left out or like excluded, and I don't want to negate anybody's feelings of feeling that way, especially like if like it's an important life event and you actually like legitimately like it's like your kid's third birthday you can't go. That's a problem for real. But like something small, so petty, like going out to dinner or something, like you can't be a mind reader.
Absolutely. Like if you don't get invited to someone's wedding, that's a big difference between that and a couple people went out to dinner and we forgot to invite you this one time. It's not even like
it's not even like we didn't want to hang out with you. It's like oops, it just the plans happened a different way.
Exactly. It's like okay, we serially didn't do it. Like we didn't do it multiple times. Like okay, that's one thing versus we've gone out to dinner as a group 30 times and we forgot to invite you once. It's like okay, still.
And in that, absolutely. There's definitely levels. If there's like, a wedding or something that's like a high, like your niece's birthday party, whatever, stuff like that, that's different. Yeah. But like little things like that, if you do find yourself getting really bent out of shape about those things, I think it just shows that you don't have enough to do.
Well, and there's a place too. If we spend time with you, that means that you are a priority within our lives. But like you're not in every single area. Like there's a boundaries place. It's like. If the three of us went out to dinner 300 times and we never invited you, there's a reason why we didn't invite you. Or maybe there's no reason at all that we didn't invite you. But yet we spend time with you after, like, we still spend time with you all, maybe individually. It's like there's a place for that, and there's an area for boundaries.
Or Or ready? This is going to be a big one. How about you invite people instead of always wanting to be invited to things? It's like,
don't be a mind reader.
Yeah.
I mean, don't expect people to be mind readers.
Yeah.
communicate.
Absolutely.
This all boils down to communication. If this show has any like mantras, it's be yourself, don't care about what other people think, and communicate.
Absolutely.
It's like those three things.
You will have a way better life. If you
Absolutely.
get those things down.
Absolutely. Relationship number one, just say it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean that's really what it is. Like this isn't a magic thing. I mean, a lot of people are like, how do these people have such a great life, and how do these? They must be just so lucky, and like it's all the little things that have added up over time. It's all the small skills that you learn, like how to communicate, how to be yourself. Like that's a skill in itself. Learning how to be yourself is a skill.
Yeah.
You just have to practice those things. You have to make it a priority in your life. If you just ignore it and just pretend like, keep putting it to the wayside, then it's going to be on the wayside. You're never going to improve on it. You're never going to get better at it, and your life is going to stay stagnant. But if you take control of your life and be responsible for it and actually improve on the little things that you want to see better, you know what I mean? Like if you want more friends, but you keep throwing temper tantrums every time you don't get your way.
Talk about it.
Work, figure out what you need to do in order to change that habit. It is a habit. It is inside of you. It is changeable. You can start training your mind to react in a different way when things go wrong.
This is going to sound very aggressive in the sense that people don't usually think that they think this way, but humans work like this. If you have a friend, okay, they have a value that they add to your life, and they have a value that they take away from your life. A lot of different ways. If you're not at least net zero, somebody's going to cut you off.
Yep.
That's it. It's like, I'm not going to put somebody in my life who's net negative all the time, who's a drain on my life. If you're a drain on somebody else's life, you're going to be cut off. It's like if the only thing that you do is cost people money, cost people emotional stress, cost people time, you're not going to have a friendship.
Yes.
Like we were talking about something, like I was talking to Tyler, both of you, about this person who's been trying to get into contact with me for a little while, like trying to do something. And I know that something is behind them wanting to go out and have dinner or something. It's like, I know that something's up. Like
If it even got that far.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like- it would be like, hey, you want to do something? You want to help me move? Like,
Yeah.
Where it's all like, I know that there's something behind it. It's like, it's not like you don't want to hang out with me. Like, we are probably the most different people.
Yeah.
It's just like, really look at your friendship, quote unquote, friendships that you have. Are you really a friend in the first place?
Yeah.
That's really it.
And don't be afraid to admit, like, in that particular instance, like, if you can't afford a friend, and sometimes it's not always financially, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like, I can't afford everything that comes with you. I can't, like, I can't afford it in my life, and because of that, we can be acquaintances, we can be friends from a distance, but it's like, I can't spend my time with you.
Yeah. I can't be emotionally invested.
I can't, exactly, and just because I can't afford it.
so we'll leave it on this. Grow up, and we'll see you next time. All right. I guess I don't need this thing. Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. Come follow us on Patreon. We'd really appreciate the support. You know, the coffee over here, don't pay for itself. And there's the ducks.